Favorite firsts. This is a rundown of all the first issues that came out in February, most of them at least. These are great jumping on points theoretically, and we're going to decide whether we're going to keep reading this series and if it's actually accessible. Because sometimes they claim to be first issues, but you'd be totally lost getting in there. So let's kick it off, Golbs.
Snowfall from Image Comics. Climate change happens, and now weather is a weapon. Yeah, this one's accessible. I was pleasantly surprised.
I was not that into it. I am not going to keep reading it.
I am kind of right down the middle. I thought the ending led to some good potential story, but I was mixed on the issue itself.
Mirror, an Image #1. A young sorcerer is manipulated into creating animal hybrids. This is a brand new story from Emma Rios, taken from her work in Brandon Graham's 8 House. You can jump right in. I'm not going to keep reading it. I just don't really like magic that much, and it wasn't for me, so giving it the thumbs down.
I'm kind of thumbs down too. I did think the art was magnificent, but I'm not sure how approachable it is or accessible it is. There seems to be some depth, but it's completely unexplained. I'm not sure.
I am going to keep reading it. I'm a huge Brandon Graham fan, an 8 House fan. I think this fits right in line. I would contend to the fact that it's accessible with, personally I think the story doesn't hold your hand, and that's one of the reasons I liked it. Hopefully it explains some of the issues presented in the first issue, but I really liked it and I'm going to stick around for it. So. Next up I have Kennel Block Blues from Boom Studios. It is a anthropomorphized prison, pound as prison story, kind of substituting 1950s prison for a dog pound. It is a first issue, so it's totally accessible. I was a little iffy on the book, but I will keep reading it because I did love the juxtaposition of the art styles, and I think the last couple pages present an interesting point going forward.
I'm not going to keep reading this one. I have nothing against overly cartoony, and that's sort of the point of it, but it wasn't my jam.
I got halfway through it. I have a hard time with animals being kind of people, so sorry. X-Men, worst X-Man ever. #1, this is Marvel. Obviously, a very average nerdy teen finds he has a very lame mutant power. I don't know how lame it is. It's just not one you would want necessarily.
Correct.
Accessible for sure.
It would help to know who the X-Men are, but that's about it.
But if you don't, then you're probably in a cave somewhere. Yeah, I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. I liked the art and the story was good.
Wowie. I really liked it too. That was really surprising. Colby liked it, I think, but I thought it was really funny.
It wasn't like Hydra.
Oh my, okay.
We don't have to bring up that again. I really liked it. I'm going to keep reading. I thought it was great and funny. I really liked the Wolverine parts when they were fighting the Sentinel, personally.
I loved it. I thought it was going to be funnier. It wasn't that funny, but I think that as a limited run, 5 issues, this is going to be just perfect, and I thought the art was fantastic.
It was darkly comic.
Yeah.
Actually.
The Dark and Bloody from Vertigo. They're pumping out a lot of first issues lately, which is kind of fun.
Those are hits or misses if I've ever seen it.
Ooh. But this one, The Dark and Bloody. A war vet returns home and turns to moonshine production for ends meet. This is a brand new story. You can jump right in, and I think I'm going to keep reading it. The art was really cool. The story has this supernatural twist that, maybe supernatural. I don't know anything about the story, really.
I'm kind of in the middle. I'm going to borrow it. It's good. It's good.
I really like this. This is my favorite first issue of the month.
Really?
Yeah. I thought the character work was fantastic.
I agree with that.
And I loved how the limited time they spent on the war aspect of it, but it really underscored that character perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see where this book goes. Next up, Power Man and Iron Fist #1 from Marvel. The heroes reunite but aren't necessarily getting the team back together. Is it accessible? It is. I don't think you need too much prior knowledge with the characters to jump in.
Agreed.
This was right up there for me for best first issue of the month. I really loved it. I feel like they got the characters, the character relationship really well. It had a like very Incredibles vibe, which I liked. So yeah, I really liked it. Especially with the new shows coming up from Netflix, I'm into it. And the art was good.
The only accessibility issue I have is you should know that back in the day they were the heroes for hire, Power Man and Iron Fist. But that's about it. You can jump right in. The art was fantastic. Sanford Green and David F. Walker is slowly becoming one of my favorite authors. So we'll talk a little more about him in a second.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. Sorry.
everything they said, it's totally accessible. It's awesome. The art's fantastic. The best representation of Tombstone I've ever seen.
Tombstone?
The bad guy.
Oh, the bad guy.
Avengers 001 Standoff. Welcome to Pleasant Hill. Marvel. This is the summer crossover event for Marvel. Mysterious town and questionable tactics are at the center of this Marvel summer event lead in. It's pretty accessible, very shield oriented. There's a good twist at the end. I'm gonna keep going. I don't know what's next. It's probably
This is a
title.
first. This is a standalone book, so we're gonna get a lot of standoff titles from a bunch of different characters. I liked it fine enough. I'm gonna keep reading for the event, but I wouldn't say I like really love the issue. I think it sets up some interesting things down the road. But
Usually I'm not looking forward to summer events, things like that, but getting right off the tails of Secret Wars,
Yeah.
I'm into
Nick
this.
loves Secret Wars.
Oh, boy, did I like Secret Wars. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading it. I thought it was interesting, different than other Marvel titles I'm reading right now, which I always like.
that says something. Yeah.
Shaft, Imitation of Life from Dynamite Comics. Shaft gets back in the saddle to investigate a teen's disappearance. While this is a #1 issue, David F. Walker wrote a previous arc of Shaft. It would help you in this story to know what happened in the last one, but you can jump in. Also, if you haven't seen the old Shaft movies, you should watch those too. So yeah, this is completely inaccessible, but I'm going to keep reading it because I love David F. Walker.
It was accessible. Whatever. It's good. Go get
Yeah,
it.
I have not seen any of the Shaft movies or read the previous run, but I was not lost reading it. I'm not gonna keep reading it though. I had a problem with the voiceover in it. I thought the plot progression in this issue specifically was kind of lacking, and I think the next issue is kind of gonna jump into something else entirely. So I don't know. I was not taken by the voiceover and the heavy themes that Shaft has running through his head. So I'm gonna hit on Spider-Man #1. Miles Morales survives Secret Wars and begins his new career in the shared universe. It is accessible, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you guys think so? Yeah, it was accessible, and I really did love it. It was it's Brian Michael Bendis. I think the high school stuff with his best friend was by far the best part of the book. And really elevated it in total for me. I think the superhero battle part of it was a little lacking, but just for the high school drama type stuff, I was really into it.
This was my favorite first of the month. I'm going to definitely keep reading it. I do think it's completely accessible. I knew next to nothing about Miles Morales, and already he's just reminding me of the Peter Parker that I would read as a kid.
Yeah, I agree. Totally accessible. It was also my favorite first. I can't say much more than what they already said. It's definitely kind of new and fresh, but hits all the key points that made Spider-Man awesome.
This means that me and you are BFFFF, best favorite first friends forever, for February. Yes!
Full title, Deadpool and the Mercs for Money. This one's a spoofy, cartoonish attempt at an A-Team-like story. That totally sums it up. It's pretty terrible. So
Can you jump right in?
you can jump right the fuck in. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I was not into it either. I think the villains is what really did it for me. It was really cartoony, but all the villains are based off
There's
Lewis Carroll characters, and I was not into it.
Well, and then all the mercs, all his compatriots, so to speak, there's not a one of them I'm interested in following. Or so, like, why? Just do another Deadpool or something.
I forgot to read it, and I'm so happy I didn't waste my time doing it. Thumbs down! I'm gonna go read it for those Lewis Carroll bad guy stuff.
Another first we didn't mention.
Go ahead.
Spider-Man and Deadpool was good. It's a crossover title,
What publisher
obviously.
is that from?
This is Marvel.
Fox Sony.
Marvel. It's accessible. They do kind of explain there's a rift. Spider-Man's left the Avengers because Deadpool's in it. Doesn't like Deadpool, go
Because they're
figure.
the same person.
When traced by the same.
Too much
impossible.
snark.
That's impossible.
Too much snark.
Anyway, it's actually a really good issue.
And that's our favorite first issues of the month of February.